Right then, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson. I want to talk to you about Rabiot and specifically the worry with United signing Rabiot. United have apparently agreed a fee in principle with Adrien Rabiot, which is a strange one. It seemingly came out of nowhere on the back of yesterday's performance. There's certainly been zero talk of that. I mean, Arnautovic came up yesterday. We've seen Vardy come up in the last few days. Now Rabiot. Is this a knee-jerk reaction to what we saw yesterday? Or is it the potential transfer that's actually going to make a difference to United? Honestly, I don't know. But let's talk about him specifically as a player and what he might offer to United. First up, he flatters to deceive as a passer. This isn't Verratti, right? This is someone that you think passing is one of his major strengths. But he's declined in that area, particularly over the last season. In 21-22, he averages fewer than 30 passes per game and still doesn't complete more than low 80s, 82%, which puts him in like the 55th percentile for midfielders in Europe. And this is playing for Juventus, who dominate the ball. He also averages only 2.5 progressive passes per 90, which puts him in the bottom 14% of players in his position. He has pretty poor body shape and positioning when receiving the ball, and his awareness means that he cheaply loses the ball. If you think Fred loses the ball in really key areas at the moment because he's a bit square to the defence and those sorts of things, Rabiot's going to drive you insane. He's also pretty limited creatively. This is a player that's only got 6 assists in 129 games for Juventus. I don't know if you know much about Juventus. They're pretty good. Defensively, not very consistent. 1.6 tackles per game is higher than his 0.6 interceptions per game, indicating that his defensive actions aren't the result really of great reading of the game. It's more reactive. He's not exactly proactive defensively, which for me doesn't suit Erik ten Hag's style of play, which suggests that this is not an Erik ten Hag favoured player, especially with his ability on the ball. He wins the ball because he's aggressive, not because he's in good positioning. It also leads to bookings often because he goes to ground often, and that disrupts the team's overall defensive stability and solidity because he gives cheap fouls away. His positioning defensively is often questionable. I'm not necessarily sure he can deal with the responsibility of shielding Manchester United's back four. And with Rabiot, it's a consistency of discipline in doing his job which worries me the most, because with him, he does have the athleticism and physicality to excel in the Premier League, and he could probably do what United need at times. But the problem with Rabiot seems to be an intelligence thing, not a physicality thing. Like, he's physical. The only way I can describe this is like, do you know Nani would be like the most athletically gifted, probably footballer that's ever lived, but in his head, he couldn't do it. And he would show you just 10 out of 10s, but then 4 out of 10s more often. And then when it comes to his character and his actual discipline, Rabiot is undeniably got some talents. You don't get to the where he's got in the game, and this doesn't want to be a video that just says everything about him is bad. There are good points, and I'll get to those at the very end of this. But does he have the temperament to succeed at Old Trafford? We have seen a lot of players fail to have the temperament to succeed at United. He's got a very fiery attitude, which can make him a cult hero. But that's been called into question on tons and tons and tons of occasions. The decision to remove himself from France's World Cup squad before the 2018 World Cup was a huge controversy. Very often labelled as petulant, and we do not need any more of those at Old Trafford. Immature and ungrateful. These aren't the things that I want to be hearing about a signing that Manchester United are bringing in. Publicly hit out at Deschamps for omitting him from a full squad. His mother's his agent, and he's meant to be a big ball of trouble. Very, very protective and demanding in her negotiations. And has been likened to Raiola in how outspoken she is if she finds things that she's not happy with at the club. And I thought we'd move past this. We're trying to have a harmonious ship. You don't need agents that are doing the sort of things that Raiola was known for. Why would you sign another client who's got an agent that does that sort of stuff? He has a big personality, and he's never shied away from making big statements in order to make his points. his refusal to be on a standby list for France's World Cup squad, the prolific criticism of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, prolific criticism of the clubs that he's been at, never been without controversy. I think it's a mistake for United to sign this guy. My biggest worry with him is if he is a replacement and an upgrade on Scott McTominay, I can get behind that from one aspect. The negative aspects I've got worries about. If it's to upgrade Scott McTominay, that's a good thing. If, however, and this is my massive worry, we are signing Rabiot because we cannot sign Frankie de Jong, this is the shittest idea I have ever heard. If he's to upgrade McTominay, I think you've got a better footballer than McTominay, despite all of the aggro that comes with him off the pitch. If this is in lieu of signing Frankie de Jong, we are in a lot of trouble. Let me know your thoughts in the bottom. I actually think this one's going to come off, and I have a worry. He doesn't really move the needle in terms of a signing. I don't think he can be the driving force in the side with the sort of aspirations that United have got. This is not a good transfer. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.